All right, call meeting to order. Roll call. Christie?
Kyle,
Present.
Larry,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
Brian,
Here.
Danielle, Jeremy,
Here.
Greg,
Yes.
Jim,
Here. May I have proof of publication with the daily record? Anyone desiring to speak on any item on the agenda is invited to do so, but we'll limit it to 3 minutes. After being recognized by the chairman, please state your name and address for the record. Anyone desiring to speak for longer than that time should make arrangements with the city clerk prior to the meeting. A copy of the Open Meeting Act is located on the north wall of the chambers. Planning Commission reserves the right to adjourn into executive session on any agenda item per Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1410. A copy of all reproducible written material to be discussed at this meeting is available for examination or copying. Podium is located at the front of the chamber for comments. Again, please state your name and address for the record. We'll start with number 4 here, Jeff Allen, draining issues, and Rune's going to talk first.
Jeff met with Greg and I at 4 o'clock today. Got some drainage issues, not considering the 100-year flood event we just had. Besides that, there's some drainage issues with the newer, it's not a subdivision, it's just a property that's building. So we talked about it, I got photos from Jeff, we're gonna send him a letter tomorrow. He needs to fix the problem and we're gonna take care of it. So as much as we can on our end and then go from there.
Oh,
So,
great.
Yeah.
No,
Who do you mean by he needs to fix?
Can you say the guy's name?
Property owner.
The property owner.
Property owner.
Yes, it's just
Yeah.
a property owner. It's gonna fix it.
Which property are we talking about? Stillwater? No.
No, it's not
No.
Stillwater. No,
It's-
it's not a subdivision, it's just a single owner who's building stuff.
Okay.
Storage
It's
units.
not a subdivision, no,
All
no,
right.
no, it's not.
That's fine.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Just storage
It
units.
really wasn't one of our issues here, so.
No,
Glad I
no,
got
but I
that.
just
Yeah,
wanted
but
to get it through with him.
So we got that
You
taken
got
care of.
his, you got his attention and.
I got his
successful.
attention, got pictures, and
You were
I'm happy.
successful.
Jeff's happy, that's good. All right, we'll move on to number 5, public hearing, open the public hearing. Application for change of zoning / future use map. Rune, you're gonna start?
I'll just speak on it briefly, Rick's here too. This was supposed to be done back in November, and then if you guys remember, you guys approved the preliminary plat, it went to council, then it came back, then it went back forward, essentially in that kind of weird shuffle that we did. The future land use map, we discussed it and talked about it, it just was never done. Just a little quick refresher, this is Valley Landing, it's the lot south of 3M. You guys have seen all the stuff they want to do. The current zoning is I2.
Industrial 3.
I think it's I3, it's general industrial. Obviously, maybe obviously is a strong word. The intended, or the use that they want to put in here is probably a little better than that, than industrial. So the discussion's been had. We just need to change the future land use map because the future land use map also shows industrial there. And clearly you've seen their preliminary plats. They're looking at commercial and a little bit of residential. So obviously that doesn't match with the future land use. This is just to remediate that and make sure that the future land use map matches with their change of zoning. That's all this is. So any questions for me?
So what's it take to change the future land use map? In other words, you're doing that, what's the process?
So when they do a change of zoning, it's actually the same, it's the same request, same application. They fill out their change of zoning, and then there's a little sentence at the bottom that says, does this match the future land use map? If they do no, they fill out a second page that just states, why are you going against the future land use map? In a lot of cases, it's, in my opinion, not for the best because we have the future land use map for a reason. In this particular case, the items that they presented that would be built on this property is going to serve the community a lot better, a grocery store to name a few things. So that's the process. It's the same change of zoning application, they just add a little additional at the end.
So does the future land use map get changed?
So it will, yes, after this. It goes to council.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all I was trying
Yes.
to do, is what is the process?
Yep, then it,
So that if we say, yeah, we think this should happen, and it goes off into Never Never Land, and we don't see anything again, then we don't.
No, the actual map changes.
Yeah,
The actual planned use map. Do we want to hang it up here?
I think we actually approved this before, but it just didn't get changed.
it did, the change of zoning got approved, the future land use map.
Right.
Dave?
I want to clarify something. The Nebraska law requires a change of zoning to be consistent with the future land use map.
Right.
And you can't pass the zoning change unless it is consistent with the future land use map. So it's a chicken and the egg type situation. And so the first step is to change the future land use map. The second step is to recommend approval of zoning change.
Correct.
So the zoning change has to be approved, obviously, by the city council. What about do they have to approve the change of the map?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Is that something you do?
They have to, they vote based on your rec, so it'll be with them next month.
So today we'll vote to recommend the changes,
Yep.
and then it goes to them.
Yes,
All right.
Please.
yep.
Any other questions for Rowan?
Yes. On this map title here,
Yep,
are we changing that whole,
just the northern
or
part.
just
Yeah, just the north.
the northern?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They, actually, the original one that they submitted back in October, it hasn't changed because they never had the southern portion of that. And then they did after, but they had never originally had that southern portion. It's just the northern portion that you see, which is why the map has changed. The one that we sent out in October for this actually had the southern portion because it was all still one lot. Now it's been broken into two. So this is just specifically the northern portion of that parcel, that farm, I guess. Yep.
Any other questions for Rowan? Would you folks want to say something? One at a time.
Rick Kavasa.
One at a
All three
time.
of us come up. You know, I've been happy to answer any questions. We've been working on this quite some time, and I've been here before, and so we're excited to hopefully get going here. So I think it's great. It should be a really good project. With the school bought that other portion of land, and I've seen a prelim plan on that, and that looks really good too. So we're excited to move. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
What was your name again?
Rick Kielbasa. I'm just a little bit Polish.
That's what I thought it was Polish.
On your mom's side, right?
It's, yeah, correct, my father would say. He's 100%.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Anything from the public? There's two publics here. All right, I'm going to make a motion to recommend to the Valley City Council to approve the request for the change in future use map. And then when we do the final plat, rezone from general industrial 3, lots 1 through 14, to commercial 1, lots 15 through 16, to residential 2. Again, that's with the final plat. And I will need a second.
So are you doing that now, or are you
Yes.
just, so you're doing the whole thing?
No, well, I'm doing the lots subject to the final plat.
Okay.
Larry, who seconded that?
Any other discussion? If not, a voice vote?
Kyle,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Jim.
Yes.
And I had closed the public hearing prior to that. All right, we'll move on to 5B, ordinance amendments. This is all room.
It always seems to be these days. Okay,
No security is what.
so we're gonna start with the first one. Essentially, I had Dave write this up because he is much better writing things nicely than myself.
Pass on the blame.
No, I could not write it as nice as this. So essentially what we're doing is, a couple months ago, we changed the zoning for outdoor storage and self-storage, micro-storage. We didn't allow it anywhere. What I failed to realize is we have 2 existing lots that have been grandfathered in, and both of them are looking to, both of them have contacted me within the last month saying, hey, one, we're gonna build more storage units. We don't have anything in our code that allows him to continue doing that because technically he's not allowed, which doesn't make sense. He's been grandfathered in. Essentially, all this is doing, not essentially, this is all it's doing, is allowing someone that if they built on their property and they were allowed to do storage, for example, and we have stopped allowing storage, you can still do it. Now, if they were to buy another lot and plat it together, you can't do it anymore. It's just your existing lot. And we've got 2 cases of that where one on the east side of Meigs, on the south side of 275, it's outdoor storage, and this particular owner built on half. The other half is empty. He hasn't bought any more property, he hasn't platted to it, but it was allowed when he bought it. So it makes sense to allow him to continue to do it. It is what it is. It's kind of hard to just say no. Good luck, you bought the land, now can't be used what you bought it to be used for, which was allowed. So that's all this does. Any questions?
Any questions on that particular?
It only applies to partially developed property.
Correct.
It's not it's gonna open Pandora's box for other things. It's it's a rifle shot compared to shotgun.
So they still,
That we previously approved.
Correct. So if you have an empty lot and you go, well, hold on a second, no, that's not what this is for. It's if you have already established the use and you just have extra land that you want to continue said use for, then it's allowed. And again, it's 2 lots. So in particular, so that's what the first part of this is. The second part, floodplain development ordinances regarding outdoor storage. All this does is add 1 bullet point that states in our zoning code underneath the floodplain that if you do outdoor storage, it has to be elevated, which a lot of jurisdictions around here have started doing anyways. I went to UNO a month ago, FEMA was there, and they mentioned that it's actually something that quite a few jurisdictions have been doing. Again, this is going to be very specific because we only have 2 lots left, but I want something that hopefully we never have a flood again, but if we do, I don't want a bunch of RVs floating around. There is verbiage in FEMA now that you have to tie each one down. None of them do that to prevent buoyancy, all these things. So it's just easier to say, hey, if you're going to have outdoor storage, you just have to bring it up 3 feet, and then we don't have to worry about it. And you don't have to worry about it. So it kind of just makes a better product for everyone. That's all the second one is. And then the R2, sorry, do you guys have any questions on that?
If you're gonna ask an existing property owner, are they gonna have to raise their new phase higher than their existing phase?
Correct. Which this particular lot, he already did raise the first phase.
Okay.
So, but yes, if he hadn't, I would make him do it for the second phase.
But is the 3 foot gonna put him over where his existing elevation is?
I don't think so. Not in this existing case, but if it did, yes, I would still do that because you got away with it the first time. Congrats, but this time you're not going to.
well, we don't want trouble with FEMA either.
Well, and that's actually what it does, what I forgot to mention. When we get graded every 5 years, we have these points. You get points for enforcing over the minimum standards. Freeboards are one, for example. And this just happens to be something that is above minimum standard. So we'll get points for it as well.
And that affects your insurance rates on flood insurance quite a
Correct.
bit.
Correct. Yep. So this will, I mean, we probably won't get a lot of points for it, but we'll definitely get some, which all you need is 1 point to flip to the next level. So it could be the make or break. So that's that one. Do you guys have any questions on that? Okay, the third one, we talked about it before. It's just amending the R2 and R3 zoning to increase the building coverage from 35 to 40. For R2 and R3, amend the width of the townhome per lot to match the note that was below. Again, above it stated a number, and then there was a note that it referenced that stated another one, so I just made them consistent. And then for R3, there was a limitation to 3 townhomes that you could put together, and I upped that to 4. There's really no difference between 3 and 4, and we have a builder here who's looking to put up 4plexes, which will decrease the cost per unit. Obviously, the more common walls you can share. So all of this is really more for affordable, quote unquote, affordable housing. The more house you can build on a lot, and it doesn't affect drainage because our impervious is still 60%. So that was my only concern, which I talked with Greg about. There's no concern there. They still have to build 10 feet apart for all the code stuff. They still have all their setbacks. They can just put in 5% more on their building coverage. So this also works for the townhomes and the other things that obviously if you're sharing a lot line, that can kind of constrict where it didn't make as much sense, so.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Rune, I thought I read in here somewhere where there was a place that you could actually build right up to the edge
Correct.
of the water?
So that was the last one on R3. So this one was specifically, we have a builder out here doing a subdivision, and they mentioned, can someone put a pergola, a deck? As it's currently written, accessory structures aren't allowed within, I want to say it's 25 feet from the lake. That's shooting from the hip, but it's something like that. For no other reason than I think it was just put in there. I can't think of any safety-wise, but that was where the seawall came in, that if you want to do a pergola right up to the water, you can. You just have to have a seawall. I don't want things sliding in. I don't want decks. I don't want concrete. If you put an engineered seawall in, which they have to check with me before they pull the permit, then you're allowed to put grass, you're allowed to put a deck, whatever. And to me, this is more a covenant thing, right? A lot of new lakes will say we don't want to do that. But if there's a lake who's wanting to do it, I suppose that's more between the homeowners, the HOA, and the developer than me. So that one specifically, which is brought up of, hey, can they put a bar? You know, a lot of times you see the pergolas and they've got the little sink and something like that. How it's currently written, you're not allowed to do that.
But don't most of those lakes, HOAs and all that have line of sight restrictions?
Yeah, and so all of these, they have to get any subdivision, any new development, they have to get an approval form. And before I approve their permit, so if Flatwater, for example, they sign something that says, hey, we approve of this. And if they don't approve of it, it never gets its way to me. So yeah, this was more just sure, I don't see a problem with it. It's your development, go for it, with these parameters.
Right.
The seawall was a parameter that I threw in, because they said, no, we just want to do it. I said, well, hold on a second, let's not, if you want to do it, there's some things you have to do, and that's the seawall thing. So, engineered seawall.
Could this be interpreted to also include a boathouse?
Could. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, most covenants aren't going to allow it, but I could see.
Right. And we
Back when
had,
I was a kid, my grandpa had a boathouse right on the edge of the water.
absolutely.
Pulls the boat in.
Yep, so that could
Could be.
Yep, accessory structure. Again, the covenant is gonna probably yay or nay it, way before it gets to me. But yeah, theoretically.
Any other questions? Again, I'll open up the public hearing. Is there any public comments on this particular 3 items? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Any other discussion of any of the participants on this one, which I guess was Rune? If not, I'll ask for a vote. Motion, I mean.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Kyle. Any other discussion on these items? Roll call? Did you get all that, Christie?
Who made the second? Kyle did?
Kyle?
Okay. You want a voice vote now?
Yeah.
Kyle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes?
Scott?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes,
Brian?
Yep.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Motion to recommend city council is approved. Anything else, Rune?
Not that I can think of.
Did
Just wait,
Hampton-
wait a month, I'll have something for you.
Did Hampton, yeah, did Hampton overlay that road going into, down to that cul-de-sac and come back? Isn't that overlaid?
Yes.
That wasn't concrete, was it?
No, that
This is asphalt.
was Old County Road.
I just noticed that the other day, so he is doing something.
Yeah, they got the roads in, they got the sewer and water, and they're gonna start pulling building permits.
And I saw he had a
Any
couple
day.
lots sold. That's great, seeing some activity there. All right, anything else from the members? Not ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make a motion.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Mark?
Greg.
Greg. We only have one Greg now, so we only have to vote.
That's kind of nice. Great.
Come on, bring him out.
There would be no
Your expectations are really disappointing.
Hey, get up. I will. My plan is to.
How's it going, man? Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
How you doing?
Excellent job. I was in Christmas last year.
I'm gonna get this shit about that.